Hello, you're watching Vnews Bulletin. From another headlines as usual. The Prime Minister chairs conference on administrative procedure reforms. First rescue duo among Vietnam, Laos and Cambodia. And later on, foreign tourists return to Mission Sanctuary after pandemic hiatus. A national teleconference took place under the chair of Prime Minister Pham on September 15th to promote administrative procedure reforms and governance modernization. The government leaders said the meeting is part of the efforts to assist people and enterprises in difficulties. The party instead always view administrative reforms as an important step to build and complete a clean, strong, efficient and effective law-governed socialist state for the people and national development, Chin stressed. Besides, governance modernization is critical to building a digital government, economy and society, he added. Vietnam has made important strides in administrative reforms, but shortcomings still exist and need to be addressed quickly for the optimization of area and resource for the recovery and development, the Prime Minister noted. According to the government office, since 2021, 1,758 business regulations in 143 legal documents have been scrapped or simplified. The Prime Minister has also approved plans to remove or streamline over 1,100 regulations of 9 ministries and agencies. Besides, about 11,700 single-window divisions at different levels have been set up nationwide to handle administrative procedures. A joint search and rescue drill between Vietnam, Laos and Cambodia took place in Vientiane on September 15th. Lao Party General Secretary and President Thông Luân Sisulit and Vietnamese Defense Minister Phan Van Giang were among those who witnessed the event. The drill, the first of its kind between the militaries of the three countries, was held under an agreement reached at a meeting at the three countries' defense ministers in Hanoi in 2019. Focusing on water and land rescue, it was participated in by nearly 500 military officers and soldiers who exercised search and rescue in response to flooding, landslides, building collapses, and chemical leaks. Vietnam engaged in most of the contents. The organizing board described the drill as successful and a practical activity in defense cooperation among Vietnam, Laos and Cambodia, thus helping promote cooperation, solidarity and friendship among the countries, including their militaries. It noted through the deal, the three military rescue forces would become more proactive in coordinating with and assisting one another in disaster response to guarantee peace and security for their people. Foreign invested enterprises in Vietnam are recovering well and focusing on production and business expansion, with disbursements reaching a record high in the first 8 months of 2022.
According to the Foreign Investment Agency under the Ministry of Planning and Investment, during January-August, FDI disbursements hit $12.8 billion, up 10.5% year-on-year. Vietnam's resumption of economic activities has helped foreign investors speed up the implementations of their projects. Recently, Nghi Sơn 2 BOT thermal power plant, with a total investment of nearly $2.8 billion, was officially put into commercial operation. In addition, Samsung Research and Development Center project in Hanoi is expected to be completed by the end of this year. Its capital additions, worth more than $2 billion in Thái Nguyên province and Ho Chi Minh City, will also be disbursed soon. To attract more FDI, Vietnam should focus on perfecting investment institutions and researching and promulgating policies suitable to each industry and field, according to economists. Besides, localities should publicize a list of industrial parks which have land available and infrastructure ready to love more investors, they noted.
A number of fruits grown in Vietnam has successfully entered high-value and challenging markets, and the country is constantly seeking ways to beef up its economic power via fruit exports.
Vietnam earned nearly $2 billion from fruit and vegetable exports in the first 7 months of 2022. China has been Vietnam's largest importer for years, although shipments to the northern neighbor recently saw a downturn as a consequence of its stricter rules on imported food. Vietnamese fruit and vegetables enjoy strong growth in other major markets, such as the US, the Republic of Korea, Japan, and Australia. Many exporters are turning their eyes to European markets, where the products enjoy 0% tax rate under the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement, and these markets are seeing increasing demand for tropical fruit and vegetables. According to the General Department of Customs, Vietnam's fruit and vegetable export turnover to Europe in 2021 hit $303 million, up 17.4% year-on-year.
The capital city of Hanoi plans to convert 100% of its bus fleet from petrol-powered to electric ones, as directed by the government.
The goal is part of a roadmap for the implementation of an action program on green energy transition and carbon emissions reduction of the transport industry. The Municipal People's Committee has assigned the Department of Transport to build the roadmap in coordination with relevant units. Since the first electric buses were put into operation in Hanoi in December 2021, the number of bus routes using smart electric buses in the city has increased to 9, contributing to enhancing the quality of public transport in the capital city. The Hanoi Transport Corporation is currently operating 83 bus routes and 1 BRT route, with a total number of nearly 1,100 vehicles. The number of vehicles eligible to be replaced by electric buses from 2025 is 225, accounting for 21% of the total.
Vietnam's gas industry and gas market have been recognized as important elements of the country's economy, ensuring national energy security and meeting needs for promoting socio-economic development. The share of gas in total energy supply has seen a downward trend of 16% in 2010 to 8.2% in 2020. It's therefore necessary to introduce mechanisms and policies to complete the legal framework for the gas market to develop competitively and transparently.
The Vietnam National Oil and Gas Group and PV Gas are building infrastructure to prepare to import liquefied natural gas for customers. The total gas supply to Vietnam in recent years has been about 10 billion cubic meters.
In order to meet domestic demand for gas, storage infrastructure must reach 3.5 to 4 million tons a year and about 4.5 to 5 million tons a year by 2035. It's necessary to expand and build a new liquefied petroleum gas storage facility from oil refining to import that is sufficient for the development of industrial plants and customers.
Strengthening infrastructure, perfecting mechanisms and policies, and adopting more policies are needed to develop and diversify customers and enhance services so that we can get more value from gas products and meet demand in the time to come. In particular, there should be policies to match the ongoing energy transition.
To ensure a competitive and transparent gas business, the completion of a legal framework from the Ministry of Industry and Trade would create the conditions necessary for all economic sectors to participate in the market while attracting foreign investors and other capital sources, and science and technology, especially digital technology, to gas trading activities. The members of the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership constitute a potential market for the export of char fish, according to the Vietnam Association of Seafood Exporters and Producers.
WhatsApp statistics show that 13% of the Vietnam's total traffic export in the first 7 months of this year was more than 211 million, was consumed in CPTPP member markets, representing a rise of 73% against the same period last year. In July alone, traffic export to member countries of CPTPP expanded rapidly at 123% to reach more than $31 million. Notably, traffic export to Canada rose by 4 times against the same period last year to reach $40 million, accounting for 2.5% of Vietnam's total traffic export value. About 92% of traffic exported to these markets were processed. Traffic export to Australia, Singapore, Malaysia, and Chile posted 3-digit growth in July from 108 to 166% over the same period last year. Export to Japan increased by 66% in July. The growth momentum would continue to maintain the remaining months, the association said.
My Sơn Sanctuary, a UNESCO-recognized World Heritage Site in Quảng Nam Province, now began welcoming foreign tourists after the COVID-19 pandemic hiatus. The sanctuary now welcomes more than 500 tourists a day, 70% of whom are foreigners.
During the trip, the holidaymakers enjoy special art performances featuring the culture of Cham people and participate in folk games. They are also provided with spiritual, ecological, and agricultural tours. Once a religious and political capital of the Champa Kingdom, the My Sơn Sanctuary is located within a hilly landscape in the Xuyên district, about 70 kilometers southwest of Da Nang coastal city and 40 kilometers from Hoi An ancient town. It is comprised of 8 groups of 71 monuments built from the 7th to 30th centuries. The sanctuary was recognized as a World Cultural Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1999.
We have more news coming up next. Let's take a look. The People's Committee of Khánh Hòa Province and the Vietnam Cinema Association has recently co-held a seminar themed Khánh Hòa Ideal Connection Point of Cinema and Tourism in Nha Trang City. The event was part of the Kênh Kite Awards 2021. Nha Trang's hosting of the Kênh Awards 2021 is a chance for the city and the province of Khánh Hòa to further popularize their tourism. The seminar is expected to have the public learn more about the importance of introducing the land and people of Khánh Hòa through cinema activities. In other words, films in some ways would have popularized and created landmarks for Khánh Hòa tourism to go further and inspire domestic and international tourists to come to explore this land in the future. During the seminar, speakers delivered their speeches with topics focusing on Khánh Hòa tourism promotion through cinema, Check-in Nha Trang, From Screen to Real Life, memoirs of filmmaking days in Khánh Hòa when the nation was freshly united, Why Coming to Nha Trang for filmmaking, and Start with Screenplay. Also at the event, managers, researchers, artists and actors voiced their opinions to boost connection between tourism and cinema. An exhibition featuring paintings by retired journalists of the Vietnam News Agency kicked off in Ho Chi Minh City on September 12 on the occasion of the 77th founding anniversary of the VNA.
On display are 70 artworks with a variety of themes such as still life, landscape, portraits, and abstract. The exhibit includes 22 paintings by journalist Nguyễn Tiến Lễ, former director of the VNA's office in the southern region. His paintings introduce beautiful natural sceneries at home and abroad to the public. Former world correspondents Kim Sơn, Lê Cương, and Quang Minh, who are also famous photographers for Vietnam Pictorial, are also showcasing their works. The exhibitions will run until September 16th.
And that's wrap up on this bulletin. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.